All right. Deontay Wilder, the number one heavyweight, longest reigning heavyweight, is getting clout chased by Oleksandr Usyk in his lead into this fight that he has this evening. I'm going to talk about that and also some things that Eddie Hearn said about Oleksandr Usyk and how pretty much he's going to be the WBO heavyweight champion, and they are just going to grease the tracks for him to get there. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified of when we release more videos. Also, thank you so much to my Patreon community, also to the live stream community that attends every Monday through Friday, right around 11:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, and Sundays at 8 a.m. for our special show where we cap off the week, OG Boxing Talk with myself, Blood Boxing, KQKC Boxing, and Curtis Anderson. I hope you guys will join us there once again. We're going to have a really good conversation this Sunday morning. Now, let's get into this, man. You know, the heavyweight division is the most dysfunctional division in boxing, in my opinion. And it is, and it shouldn't be, because it really is the feature, the premier weight class in boxing. And actually, it's not a weight class because anybody can fight there. But, you know, I'll save that explanation for some other video. Regardless, we were 2 years ago just a little bit away from having a undisputed heavyweight champion if Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua would have fought. That didn't happen. And it looks like this belt is going to get disintegrated. And it's probably not going to happen until everybody in this crop of heavyweights is gone. But and one of the reasons that I say this is because there's a new contender to the heavyweight for a heavyweight belt that is moving up from cruiserweight, and his name is Oleksandr Usyk, out of the Ukraine, trains in the same trainer Antonelli Lomachenko. If I mess his name up, forgive me, but his Lomachenko's father's his trainer. He's from the Ukraine. A very, very good fighter, man. He won. He's the undisputed. He was the undisputed cruiserweight champion. He held the WBA, the WBC, the WBO, and the IBF titles. And now today he is moving up to fight for his first heavyweight fight. And I do believe that he is the mandatory already for the WBO heavyweight title, which is held by Andy Ruiz. Now, the reason why I went and said all that about who Oleksandr Usyk is because unless you are an absolutely serious boxing fan, you don't know who he is. He won his championship in the cruiserweight division, a historically weak division, which is really just the little guy, the smaller heavyweights that, you know, where they cut off from 175 to 200 pounds to allow some smaller heavyweights to drain themselves down below 200 pounds so that they can fight in a weight class that, in my opinion, shouldn't even exist. It's not a historical weight class, but whatever. It is what it is. It's there now. But Oleksandr Usyk is now going to be fighting there. So Deontay Wilder, who's the WBC champion, was asked what he thought about Oleksandr Usyk. And he said, I'm not worried about Oleksandr Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk's too small. Like, yeah, he throws some nice punches, you know, or he moves a lot, but it's nothing I'm not worried about. You know, my power is serious. And when I touch him, he might move around a lot, but once I touch him, he's going to sleep. And that is a very reasonable thing for Deontay Wilder to believe, because Deontay Wilder, just like he said, his power carries from the first round to the 12th round. But Oleksandr Usyk says something real sideways, that he thinks that of the heavyweights, that Deontay Wilder would be the easiest heavyweight for him to beat. Now, I have to say that I assume that he meant the easiest heavyweight champion, but he said the hardest one would be Tyson Fury. But Tyson Fury's not a heavyweight champion. So I have to just think, I'm not sure what he's talking about. Like, Tyson Fury's not a heavyweight champion. He's not a heavyweight champion. So if you're talking about the easiest heavyweights for you to beat, You might be talking out of the side of your neck by saying that's Deontay Wilder's the easiest heavyweight for you to beat and Tyson Fury's the hardest for you to beat. If that's the case, then you should go over there and fight in the WBC. What are you fighting for the WBO? What are you fighting for the WBO belt for? You were the WBC champion. Appeal to Deontay Wilder to give you a voluntary shot at the belt. If he gets past Luis Ortiz and he gets past Tyson Fury, go chase. Hey, Alexander, if he's that easy money, go chase him. Go chase him. Alexander Usyk is not about to go chase him. Because Alexander Usyk more than likely will get his head spun around in a 360-degree circle and dropped. And it's really disrespectful for the guy to even say that. He even mentioned that he said that, he was excited that he's in Deontay Wilder's head. Man, Alexander Usyk, you are not in Deontay Wilder's head. Deontay Wilder was asked a question about you. He watches boxing, who knows who you are, and he thought you were somebody that he would knock out. That's no different than everybody else he talks about. He says the same thing. He'd say the same thing about Andy Ruiz. If you asked him what he thought about Dillian White, he says the same thing about Dillian White. Is Dillian White in his head? I'm not too sure if Dillian White is in his head. Dominic Breazeale, he said the same thing about Dominic Breazeale, that he was going to knock out Dominic Breazeale. Was Dominic Breazeale in his head? No, he went out and knocked out Dominic Breazeale. See, Deontay Wilder's not somebody that just is lightly running around talking about how he's going to knock people out. With the exception of 2 fights and 1 fighter, he's done it every time out, and he's over 40 fights. He's not at 16 fights like Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk, I do believe, is a very solid fighter, and hey, man, I would love to see him fight for a heavyweight championship. I'm not too big on him being a mandatory already. With Eddie, especially the way that more than likely he's going to get his hands on a heavyweight belt. He's going to fight Chaz Witherspoon. Chaz Witherspoon, a 38-year-old Chaz Witherspoon, who has to make Chaz Witherspoon versus Alexander Usyk makes Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin, or Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwartz or Francisco Piñeta sound like the Thriller in Manila. This is a fight that he's going to fight an absolute... I know who Chaz Witherspoon is. I remember Chaz Witherspoon losing to Seth. Actually, I thought it was... I thought he lost to Bryant Jennings, but I was told that it was Seth Mitchell. But regardless, I remember Chaz Witherspoon being a journeyman, not even a gatekeeper, but basically a journeyman several years ago. Now, Alexander Usyk is going to fight him in his first fight at the heavyweight division. And then immediately after that, if Eddie Hearn gets what he wants, he's going to get a vacant shot at the WBO title. A shot at a vacant WBO title. Because Anthony Joshua, according to Eddie Hearn, would pick to fight Alexander Pulev. And he says, completely fictitiously, that if Anthony Joshua wins or Andy Ruiz wins, that the mandatory for that champion, which I guess he's insinuating the guy that they have to fight next, is going to be Kubrat Pulev. Kubrat Pulev is not the WBC champion. What would prevent, after a fight with Anthony Joshua or the Anthony Joshua Andy Ruiz fight, what would prevent either one of those guys from fighting Deontay Wilder for the title? Telling you a couple things that's happening. One, if Eddie Hearn gets his way, he's going to break those belts up. He's gonna have Anthony Joshua drop the WBO so he can have 2 champions, and if Anthony Joshua loses again, Eddie Hearn will still have control over a portion of the heavyweight championship. That's what he's gonna do. But if Andy Ruiz wins, why in the world would Andy Ruiz not be able to fight for a unified title to unify the division against Deontay Wilder? And also, why would he necessarily get stripped of one mandatory if he has the next mandatory lined up? Why wouldn't he be able to say, okay, I fought my WBA mandatory in Alexander Povetkin. Now I fought a voluntary and I got a rematch, got the title back. Why would I have to be stripped if I fight Kubrat Pulev? Why couldn't I fight Kubrat Pulev and then fight Alexander Usyk for the title? The answer to that is because Eddie Hearn wants those belts broken up. And that's what he's talking about. But man, it's all a facade. That heavyweight division is just, man, it's just so disappointing that we just can't have, you got two champions right now. Whoever wins between Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz, have him fight Deontay Wilder, and then we can know who the top heavyweight is. You got people, this scheme to have belts get dropped and picked up and have a guy with only had 2 fights in the heavyweight division fight for a title, or it's just a bunch of nonsense. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. And I'll tell you this for sure. Alexander Usyk is out of his mind if he thinks Deontay Wilder is some easy fight. You're going to get hit. And like Deontay Wilder said, you got to be perfect for 12 rounds. He's got to be perfect for 2 seconds and pass some stringent drug testing. Anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.